Uh, Mr. Gavankar, in fact, told me that he leaves at 1:30 because he has scheduled another meeting, and we, in fact, pulled him in at a very short notice. So, Gavankarji, will start with you. You can speak from here. And what we are interested to know is, like, it was an Indian dream to see that engine MRO is established in India. And people talk of MRO cost something more than 50% is in the engines. So what are your plans for India? How are you poised up? And what is your wish list which you are looking forward for support from the government and also from the industry, or anything else which you would like to speak to us?
I think those who are associated with the MRO sector are well versed because it was a big national news. Madam definitely knows that because Prime Minister himself inaugurated the facility in Hyderabad. It is the largest LEAP engine, which is the largest and the most popular selling engine in civil aviation today. To the order of currently we have a backlog of about 2,200 engines yet to deliver, and 80% of narrow body aircrafts in India are flying with LEAP engines. So that engine MRO we have set it up in Hyderabad in the GMR Aeropark facility of theirs. It is not only a unique thing for India, as you are saying, engine MRO coming in, it is also for us the largest single MRO globally for Safran. So that way it's a big thing for the country. The second aspect is we also did something which we keep telling in every session about civil military synergy. And just next to the civil engine MRO, we also announced at the same time a military engine MRO facility, which is right now coming up, and in 2 years it will be operational as well. So these are two major MRO activities, and both are around engine, which Safran is doing in the country. We would be soon inducting because DGCA certification, EASA and all that takes time. So we've just completed it, and soon we will have a first engine induction event happening in Hyderabad in about a couple of weeks, not even a month. And the last but not the least is, MRO setup also thrives on local MSME support in terms of repair activities and supply chain support. And we were discussing about all the cargo operations and all that are backbone of MRO operations as well. The second issue which we are facing would be on terms of trained manpower, which is a big issue right now. It's not only about training manpower, it's also about retaining manpower. So, and both are challenging front right now. So those who are entering or trying to think MRO sector needs to be aware that this is one thing which we are trying to overcome, but I will touch upon if time permits how and when. And one last thing before you move to thing is that beyond the military MRO, I mean, this is all engine, but we would also be setting up a large scale production facility for electronics, both on civil and the military defense electronics in Bangalore, and that would go in further for electronics MRO, because component MRO right now is very limited in India, which is also needs support, because aviation is not only engine MRO, though it may be 50% by value of MRO part. So that is one thing which we will do in future, and we are also working with DRDO on some missile programs where small jet engines are being used, and as soon as the certification is over, we would be setting up production and MRO facility for small jet engines. So probably the entire ecosystem of MRO in some or other form, Safran would be there before 2030.
Excellent. And you said that in 2 years everything will be established, at least whatever you have planned.
The 2 year, the civil MRO is already operational. The military will be operational in 2 years, and the electronics MRO would be probably in 3 years. That's why I round it up with 2030 before.
Excellent. And Ashokji, you are one person whom I have always admired for your thought process as to how the civil MROs will take shape, and also how we are currently addressing the challenges which the industry has. So what I'll request you is tell us about your company, your activities, and also some of the thought process, how the scene in MRO in India will evolve. Like people say that it is about 80% of MRO business which goes overseas, And given a choice, we like to reverse it 2080 to 8020. For that, what industry will need to do and what government will need to do? What will be your wish list of?
Morning, everybody, and thank you, Tyagi sir, for inviting me and to FAST for this opportunity to be here. I'm Ashok. I represent the GMR Aerotechnic MRO, which is India's international MRO, airframe MRO based out of Hyderabad, and we are mainly in the narrow body segment. We take care of all the not just for India. As I said, why I said international, because 70% of actually our business comes from outside India. So only a 30% capacity is actually we do it for the domestic operators in India. So we take care of all the narrow bodies, and we are shortly investing about 600 crores for a wide body project where we will be bringing in 350, 787 and 777 capability also into the same facility at Hyderabad. So that's where we are. And MRO, as everybody has said here in earlier in the session also, that it's a very broad term. But MRO mainly consists of airframe, engine component. So to a large extent, sir, actually from a wide body and from an airframe perspective, I will say more or less we are self-sufficient in India today.
Yeah.
There used to be a time when I can tell you very clearly. In fact, I myself have taken aircraft from here as far as to Brazil and elsewhere to do check. Today, I don't think any aircraft goes for a check out of India. Mostly, if at all it goes, it is mainly going for a lease return. Even that also we started doing it. We are well known for by a narrow body painting capability. More of the 51 out of the 52 Air India Express, the new livery that many of you might have seen, is done by us actually. So component, when it comes to component and engine, which is basically, that's where we are the big catches, and 80% of the work consists of component engine. But I will say thank you to Safran and the team here. That will also reverse once the LEAP engine facility becomes fully operational to some extent, that I can at least say, okay, that engine which are supposed to go out will also be there. That will, of course, it will take probably 2-3 years time before we see the full results and the fruits of that facility coming up. So that's also reversed. Next big puzzle for us will be the component. So component is actually a big game, and it's a little bit hard to crack. It needs all stakeholders, the government, the industry, and the OEMs. All three are really required to participate in it. Today there is I will say, sir, actually this government has done a lot more than any of the governments in the past. I can say with conviction that the industry, some of those which we worked with Vandana ji in the past, and others. Sai Saab is also here. We were worked with him to bring in a lot of change in the regulation and all. We did, and now thanks to that is the time when we changed the regulation to bring in from GST from 18% to 5%. A lot has been done. All those taxation issues, 100% FDI, everything is done. But the question is, what is puzzling us today, even today, is in spite of all this thing done, we have to ask ourselves why the component side and engine side is still not taken off. So that is where the puzzle is, and that's requires a little bit of introspection, because many of us, we see a small corner of the picture. We are not actually fully looking at the full picture or the full big picture or the strategy point of view. This will not happen in China, for example. If an aircraft has to come in the country, you jolly well set up the servicing in the country. It is not possible that that they will allow you to send everything out of the country. No. So we miss out some strategy portion of it. Some big players need to come in, because MRO industry is that's one of the demand. It is actually is an infrastructure industry. It used to be treated as an infrastructure industry. It's capital intensive. It is gestation period is long. You can't, like a Durandar movie, you can't expect first day, first show, the return will come. No. It is Durandar is strategic. Lot of things there. It is strategic in nature here, but it will take a long gestation period. So the stakeholders and the policy makers has to look at it from that prism. You can't use this as a cash cow or a revenue generating stream. No, it's not like that. Lot of things. In fact, I will tell you, today I will take the example of Russia. Russia is under sanction for so many years. How are they surviving they're still flying the 350s and 787, 777. How are they flying? In spite of all the sanction, not a single screw has to be sold to them.
Okay.
How are they surviving? Because of the thriving black market, how they have managed to get those components, including engines, into the country, and they're flying. But Russia is blessed with so much oil that they can afford to buy a 10 rupee item for 1000 rupees. Can we afford to do that? For God's sake, considering today's geopolitical situation, there is no mother, father, brother, sister today.
Yeah.
We are on our own. If a sanction comes on us, how are we going to survive? So that is something which is, we need to really think about it